Spring just hits different. One day, cold mud. The next, warm sunshine. But the hard-working men and women in Carhartt don't wait for the forecast to get to work. Patching roads, clearing trails, planting crops. Their hands turn this season's uncertainty into possibility. So get out there, spring into action. We've got you covered for whatever the season throws your way. Carhartt, made possible.
Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed? Do you want to start living more intentionally but aren't sure how to do it? Would you like to improve your mental health through the power of simplicity? Well, that's what I'm talking about this week. So, if you're ready to discover straightforward ways to simplify your life, then let's talk. Welcome, I'm Jeremy Godwin, and thanks for joining me for the Let's Talk About Mental Health podcast. Today I'm talking about what simplifying your life means, why it matters for your well-being, and how to do it. If you're new here, I'm a writer and counselor who creates podcasts and videos that teach you how to improve your mental health and well-being. Everything I share is based on quality research, as well as my own experience of learning to live with severe anxiety and depression. And you won't hear interviews or random opinions here, just simple tips that actually work. So let's talk about how to simplify your life. Do you ever feel like your life is so cluttered, physically and mentally, that it's hard to catch your breath? Well, you're certainly not alone. In a world where we're constantly being told to buy more, do more, and juggle more, it's easy to end up feeling overwhelmed and stretched thin. Simplifying your life is about so much more than tidying up your space. And if that's what you're after, then there are plenty of other podcasts and videos on how to do that. This episode is all about how simplicity can improve your mental and emotional well-being, which means taking stock of all the demands on your time, energy, and space, and then making clear and intentional choices about what truly belongs and what doesn't. Really, it's about cultivating healthier boundaries and breaking free of the mental noise that keeps you on edge so you can create a strong foundation for better mental health. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why simplifying your life can have such a profound impact on your mindset, and you'll discover practical tips for letting go of the chaos. But more importantly, you'll learn why cutting out unnecessary crap can help you feel calmer and more focused, not to mention far more in tune with your true self. First, let's make sure we're on the same page with some definitions, and let's talk about what does simplifying your life mean. So, really, it's all about clearing away the unnecessary complications that weigh you down, so that you have more space and energy for the things that truly matter to you. You know, it often feels like we're bombarded every day by constant demands, at home, at work, even from our phones. And so simplification invites you to pause and ask yourself, how can I make all this easier on myself? At its heart, it's about trimming the excess, physical and emotional, and choosing what you want to carry forward. Think of it like a spring clean for your mind and your surroundings, although hopefully minus the sneezing fits from the dusty cupboards. So, what does it mean on a practical level to simplify your life? It can involve organizing your schedules so you're not rushing around like a headless chicken, decluttering your home by getting rid of stuff you rarely use, and even being more mindful about what you commit to socially and professionally. For example, you might start saying no to events that don't really interest you, or you could decide it's time to unsubscribe from those newsletters you never open. Because honestly, how many emails about homeware sales does one person really need? Simplifying things also applies to how you interact with others, like resolving conflicts sooner rather than letting them fester, or choosing to cut back on mindless scrolling through social media or doom watching the news. Each small choice to remove, reduce, or refine is a step towards a more straightforward and manageable life, one where you decide what belongs and what doesn't. There's a real sense of liberation that comes from letting go of the clutter in your relationships, your environment, and even within your own thoughts. You might discover that you become more present in your everyday interactions because you're not juggling half a dozen worries in the back of your mind. Of course, it's not all instant bliss. Sometimes you have to confront old habits or face up to truths you've been sweeping under the rug. But on the other side of that initial discomfort lies a growing sense of calm, allowing you to free your mind in order to protect your peace. In a mental health context, this is about creating supportive conditions for better emotional well-being. When you're less burdened by stuff, physically and emotionally, you're in a much better place to look after yourself. You'll find that when you're not being pulled in 20 different directions at once, you have more capacity to actually acknowledge your own feelings. That could mean giving yourself permission to relax for an evening without feeling guilty, or choosing to spend time with friends who truly support you instead of those who leave you feeling drained. Likewise, simplifying can help you foster a healthier relationship with yourself by carving out space for reflection and honest self-talk. When you remove the white noise of constant busyness and external pressures, you can more clearly hear what's going on inside your heart and mind. Now, simplifying your life doesn't mean just stripping everything away until you're living like a hermit. Instead, it's about making conscious choices that align with your values. You're the one in control of this process. You decide where to start and how far to go. Maybe your journey begins with cleaning out the junk drawer in the kitchen, because we've all got one. Or it could mean setting some boundaries with that friend who only ever reaches out when they want something. Over time, these small changes can have a surprisingly huge impact on how you think, feel, and behave. Now let's talk about why simplicity is good for you. Let's face facts. Life can sometimes feel like you're spinning multiple plates while juggling fire at the same time. When we try to manage too many tasks, responsibilities, and obligations all at once, we're constantly bombarding our brain with stimuli, and that's draining and exhausting. It's a bit like having dozens of tabs open on your internet browser. Each one represents some aspect of your life that needs attention. Over time, all those tabs can become overwhelming, slowing down your system and leaving you mentally drained. The sheer cognitive load of juggling countless demands can trigger a near constant stress response, making it harder to switch off and relax. Relationships can suffer because you're too frazzled to give people your full presence, and everyday routines can begin to feel more like chores than meaningful actions. Actively simplifying your life creates the mental breathing room you need to function at your best, and it helps you free up capacity for the things that really matter. Instead of being pulled in a dozen different directions, you can direct your energy more intentionally. So in practical terms, that might mean being more selective about your commitments or rethinking your approach to social media so that you're not continuously swamped by updates, notifications, and opinions. On a deeper level, simplicity can ground you in the moment. With fewer distractions, you're more likely to experience genuine connection, both with others and with your own inner self. A simpler life can also help you reduce chronic stress and anxiety by removing the stuff that keeps your mind continually on alert. When you're not being bombarded by a sea of tasks, you have more bandwidth to process your emotions and actually respond to life's challenges instead of just simply reacting out of panic. You'll find it easier to establish healthy boundaries, like saying no when you need to, which can then protect your peace of mind. Now, that doesn't mean you'll never experience stress or worry ever again, but it does mean you'll have more space to deal with issues constructively. Really, all of this is about creating more space for yourself to live. When you're not weighed down by a mountain of tasks and pressures, you'll feel more free to do the things that bring you joy. You can rediscover passions, invest in deeper connections, and find a calmer rhythm that leaves you feeling more aligned with who you truly are. And really, that's the heart of it. Embracing simplicity is about creating a life for yourself that feels fulfilling and balanced, instead of just constantly running on empty. So how do you do that? Well, let's first take a quick break to hear from the brands who help me create this show each week.
K-pop Demon Hunters, Haja Boys Breakfast Meal and Huntrix Meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Good sleep is everything. That's why Ollie's Science Back Support is made with a blend of melatonin and L-theanine for both kiddos and grown-ups. So when your mind won't switch off, you've got something that can help. Your racing thoughts and restless nights won't stand a chance. Find Ollie sleep solutions for the whole family at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
Eczema is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Ebglyss, a once-monthly treatment for moderate to severe eczema. After an initial 4-month or longer dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
And welcome back. Now let's get into the how-to part of today's episode, and let's talk about how to embrace simplicity. Okay, let's talk about some practical ways to simplify your life, starting with choose to value simplicity over complexity. So, before you change your schedule or start clearing out those junk cupboards, it's worth taking a step back to look at the bigger picture. What kind of life do you actually want to create for yourself? We live in a culture that encourages us to buy more, do more, and constantly seek the next best thing. I mean, just think of that iconic line from Madonna about living in a material world. However, choosing to focus on simplicity means challenging those messages and redefining what enough really looks and feels like for you. This steers your priorities towards what genuinely matters to you, rather than what advertisers or social media trends tell you that you should want. The simplest way to do this is to regularly pause and reflect on your daily habits. Are you buying items because you need them, or simply because you're bored or swayed by marketing? Are you saying yes to events or commitments because they align with your goals, or because you feel pressured to keep up appearances? Think about what your core values are, and then, whenever you're faced with a decision, stop for a moment and ask yourself whether or not it supports those values or moves you further away from them. This might feel awkward at first, like learning a brand new dance routine that goes against the chorus of do more, have more, but over time, it becomes second nature. By grounding yourself in a sense of purpose, you transform simplicity from just a nice idea into a guiding principle that shapes the way you live, think, and feel. Okay, next, actively reduce drama in your life. It's no secret that I'm not a fan of drama, but that's something I've had to learn the hard way because constant conflict and emotional chaos can chip away at your peace of mind, leaving you mentally exhausted. The less drama in your life, the calmer you'll feel, and the simpler things will be. You can do this by setting firm boundaries with friends, family, or colleagues who frequently stir the pot. For example, if a conversation starts veering into gossip or negativity, politely excuse yourself or steer the topic towards something more constructive. It might feel awkward at first, but remember that you have the right to guard your headspace just as you'd lock your front door for security. Also, in the longer term, look at whether certain relationships consistently cause you more stress than enjoyment. If they do, consider limiting your time with those people or having an honest chat about how their behavior affects you. The key is to practice assertiveness without being aggressive. Stand up for yourself while staying calm and keep your own priorities in focus. By actively reducing the drama you engage with, you'll soon find you have more room for positive interactions and activities that genuinely support your mental health and sense of balance. Next, protect your peace. This is one I say a lot and with good reason. Choosing to prioritize your peace of mind is arguably the most powerful move you can make for better mental health. When you see your inner calm as being non-negotiable, you naturally set firmer boundaries and filter out draining interactions. Plus, you make decisions based on what supports, not sabotages, your emotional well-being. Pause before you say yes to new commitments. Choose to step away from negative or harmful situations. Or simply grant yourself a moment of stillness during a hectic day. Protecting your peace means living in a way that honors your mental and emotional limits, ultimately allowing you to show up in the world as your best self. Okay, next, prioritize what really matters. And this is another one I say a lot. If it matters, then make it matter. And if it doesn't matter, then it really doesn't matter. When you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing really well. Instead, focus on the handful of tasks, relationships, and activities that align most with your core values. If you invest your energy in what's most meaningful to you, you're far more likely to feel fulfilled and less likely to burn out. Make a list of your top 3 to 5 priorities, then ensure your daily choices reflect those priorities, even in small ways. This lets you avoid wasting time on distractions or obligations that don't serve you, so you can focus on what genuinely counts. Next, set clear boundaries with your commitments. And that means learning to say no more often when it comes to your schedule. Overcommitting pulls you in too many directions, leaving you exhausted and unable to give your best to anything. By setting clearer boundaries, like limiting late-night work emails or politely declining social events you're not keen on, you'll free up more time and mental space for the things that truly matter to you, which stops you feeling like your life is being run by external demands. You can do this by deciding in advance how many commitments you're willing to take on each week and then sticking to that limit. It's not selfish to protect your energy. In fact, it's one of the kindest things you can do for yourself and others. By the way, if you do find yourself feeling overwhelmed, then check out episode 261 where I talk about how to deal with it. Okay, next, simplify today. Figuring out how to simplify your life can feel pretty overwhelming, so try giving yourself permission to focus on simplifying just one day at a time, instead of feeling the pressure to overhaul your entire life all at once. This breaks down the bigger challenge of living simply into manageable daily steps that feel more achievable. Try removing any non-essential commitments from your schedule today. Maybe reschedule that unnecessary meeting or skip a social obligation you're not looking forward to, and choose simpler options wherever possible, like planning a straightforward meal or limiting your screen time. Then do it again tomorrow. Over time, these little daily wins add up to a more peaceful and balanced life. Next, create a simple routine for yourself. Having a consistent routine doesn't need to be rigid, but it can reduce the mental load of endless decision-making. For example, having a set bedtime and wake-up time helps regulate your energy. Or planning out your meals for the week can save you from those frantic dashes to the supermarket. Routines form habits, and habits eliminate the need to reinvent the wheel every day. You can get started by planning just one aspect of your life, like a regular exercise slot or a specific morning ritual, and then gradually build from there. Once you've nailed a routine that works for you, you'll be surprised at how much headspace you reclaim. Okay, so that leads to my next tip: simplify your decision making. We all make countless decisions every day, from what to eat for breakfast to how to spend our free time. To simplify things, establish small routines or guidelines for recurring choices, like meal prep for the week, or having a regular wind-down activity before bed. You can also try limiting your options for certain things. For example, having just 2 preferred brands of coffee rather than 15, or embracing a more minimalist wardrobe. Lately, I've just been going with shorts and a t-shirt since it's summer here in Australia, and in the cooler months, I stick with a t-shirt, cardigan, and jeans. This type of approach reduces the mental drain of constantly weighing up possibilities, freeing your mind for more meaningful decisions in life. Okay, next, embrace mindful consumption. So, simplicity isn't just about what you remove. It's also about being deliberate with what you bring into your life, from your shopping habits to what media you consume. Ask yourself, do I really need this before making a purchase? Or is this adding value to my day before scrolling through yet another news feed? This encourages you to be more intentional with your time, money, and attention. Try setting mini rules for yourself, like waiting 24 hours before buying anything non-essential, or limiting how many TV shows you follow each season. Over time, you'll develop a refined sense of what genuinely nourishes you and what merely clutters up your world. Next, reassess your relationships. Sometimes our lives are complicated by friendships or other relationships that feel more like a drain than a boost. While I'll admit it's not always easy to do, simplifying things can include having honest conversations or setting firmer boundaries with the people in your life. And it's worth it because emotional clutter, like unresolved tension or constant drama, can weigh heavily on your peace of mind. Start by identifying relationships that consistently leave you feeling anxious or stressed, and then consider if you can reduce contact or at least change the dynamic through open communication. It's rarely a quick fix, but taking steps to prioritize supportive and healthy connections makes a profound difference to your peace of mind. I talked about how to foster healthier relationships in episode 266, and you'll find that helpful as well. Okay, next, streamline your digital world. Let's face it, smartphones and social media platforms can be major culprits in creating mental clutter. Constant notifications and the pressure to constantly stay updated can leave you feeling scattered. So, a practical way to streamline things is to turn off all but the essential notifications. Then set specific times each day for checking emails and social media instead of allowing yourself to dip in and out constantly. This helps you regain control by turning your attention away from the digital noise and back towards the present moment. If you're feeling brave, consider a digital detox at least once a month. Switch everything off for a day or a whole weekend and allow yourself the luxury of mental quiet. I promise you will survive without your devices. Okay, next, simplify your finances. Money worries often contribute significantly to stress. So, creating a straightforward budget, automating bill payments, and tracking your expenses can help you gain clarity and reduce anxiety. When you know exactly where your money is going and you reduce any clutter from your financial commitments, you can make informed choices rather than just stumbling from one financial crisis to another. List your monthly incomings and outgoings, then look for areas where you could trim expenses. Even small tweaks, like cancelling unused subscriptions, can add up over time. A simpler financial life often translates to fewer sleepless nights and a greater sense of overall calm and well-being. Next, schedule downtime. Simplifying your life isn't just about removing things. It's also about carving out space to rest and recharge. You can do this by putting free time into your calendar just as you would an important meeting. This reminds you that relaxation isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for better mental health. Use your downtime to indulge in activities that genuinely renew your energy, whether that's reading a good book, taking a walk in nature, or singing along to your favorite songs, even if it's terrible but enthusiastic singing. Remember, you deserve moments of peace, and you need them to keep your mind and body functioning at their best. Next, regularly audit your life. Every 3 months or so, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Ask yourself, which routines are working well and which feel draining? Is there anything you're doing out of habit rather than necessity? Are your needs being met? This sort of check-in helps you course correct before small issues grow into major headaches. You could even make a list of what's giving you energy versus what's consuming it. By intentionally reviewing your commitments, personal habits, relationships, and friendships, you keep yourself aligned with what really matters to you. Because when it comes to simplifying your life, what it all boils down to is this. Living more simply isn't about perfection or creating a perfectly curated life. It's about making small, intentional choices that help you feel calmer, more grounded, and more in tune with what matters most to you. Yes, there will still be moments when life feels messy, because modern life has a habit of throwing unexpected curveballs at us left, right, and center. But each step you take to reduce unnecessary stress and distractions adds up over time. It's about finding a steady rhythm that works for you, and not being afraid to rework things when needed. With each choice to let go of whatever no longer serves you, you're creating the space to flourish, to grow, and to refocus on the simple things that bring you true joy and meaning. The choice is yours, as it is with all things related to your well-being. So, what choice will you make today? Each week I like to finish up by sharing a quote about the week's topic, and I encourage you to take a few moments to really reflect on it and consider what it means to you. This week's quote is by the painter Hans Hofmann, and it is, "The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak." Let me repeat that. The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. Alright, that's nearly it for this week. What does simplifying your life mean to you? Leave me a comment and let's talk. and become a supporter on Patreon for early access to ad-free episodes and exclusive content. It's linked in the episode description. Next week, I'll be talking about how to set boundaries with family. That will be out on February 16th, and I hope you'll join me for it. Thank you very much for joining me today. Look after yourself and make a conscious effort to share positivity and kindness out into the world, because you get back what you put out. Take care and talk to you next time. Let's Talk About Mental Health is an independent program proudly produced by Reconnaissance Media.